everybody, today we're talking about the fact that Bloodlines 2 has decided to rehire their lead writers with less than a year left until release. What? I mean, they now put the release as 2021 after having said that they're not gonna make it for 2020, and then they fired their lead writers, and then they hired new lead writers, which at this point, do you still need lead writers? If so, why? What are you doing? Like, that immediately just gives all sorts of alarm bells. It doesn't help to know who the new lead writers are. So, Samantha Wallschlaeger here has been hired as a lead narrative designer at Hardsuit Labs, and Mychal Lemos also got hired as senior narrative designer to replace the two people that have been kicked out. Now, Mychal Lemos just doesn't have a lot of work under his belt. Samantha, on the other hand, has been known for getting Chris Avallone out of bloody work, out of Bloodlines 2, by doing a Me Too thing, and has been known for Mass Effect Andromeda, which is not... It's not the kind of work that screams lead writer to me. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm so scared to say this, but what happened to Carissa almost happened to me from the same person. It was just before I broke into the industry, and it almost made me quit altogether. I believe you, Carissa. I was lucky it ended a brief meeting in an elevator and a few messages. I defected with some weak jokes and a too nice attitude, but it sounds like others weren't as lucky. Even the tiny, seemingly innocuous moment stays with someone. It stayed with me. And then she deleted those tweets, saying, I ended up deleting my tweet because my anxiety kicked in way too hard, way too fast. I love all of you and appreciate your support, and I'm sorry for needing to back away from it. Ultimately, I felt like I had no story to tell. There were a few messages that made me uncomfortable, an attempt to connect professionally that was met with only flirting, and years of pretending I wasn't bothered and keeping up the connection because I thought that's what I had to do. So effectively, she contributed with a non-story to Chris Avallone's case, which got him fired from Dying Light and Bloodlines 2. Effectively, she managed to get a person out of his job a year ago and is now taking said job and doing said job. The sentiment for these two hires were not very good, mostly directed at Samantha. Samantha was previously fired, let go from ArenaNet and BioWare, Mass Effect Andromeda, Shudder, after brief stints, so that doesn't seem to be a positive. The rest of her resume isn't that inspiring. Again, lots of jobs floating around between Seattle companies and not staying long. Kinda disappointing, but this confirms a lot of writing work still needs to be done. I wish they just kept Minnesota, especially if they were going to overhaul the entire writing staff after. Well, that's a sound way of burying the game. I felt something was hugely wrong when they fired original lead writer, and now, sorry guys, I just drew up a refund request on Steam. At this moment, only blind or stupid would argue that HSL don't have financial issues and Bloodlines 2 development is not problematic. So they can't hire rock stars. Also, no rock star would join Project Gone Sideways. They hire those who are okay with all the problems or issues and salary. So now I think we should be happy that they could at least hire somebody, as this game is hardly looking okay. Turns out she's one of the women who in June 2020 falsely accused Chris Avallone of bad things and got him in his work on Bloodlines 2 booted. Funny how things turn out. While that's fair, her resume, she floated around doing jobs for a year or two, then moving on, doesn't inspire confidence either, and it's definitely not a lead writer resume unless you have a low bar for requirements of what that means. If the writing work is done, I have no idea what else she could be doing. Hardsuit doesn't seem to have more than one project, maybe DLCs. They seem pretty far out to be worrying about that. She worked on Guild Wars 2, a poor sequel to a great MMORPG, Andromeda, a poor sequel to a beloved RPG, Star Wars The Old Republic, that is while Star Wars The Old Republic assisted in slandering the best video game writer and killing his careers. Great hiring decision. I couldn't think of a better person to lead writing team, especially since the last post I made on the subject was deleted for not being sarcastic enough. Well, good thing they didn't hire her for some project that is already deep in trouble and carefully checked with quite unhappy customers. And whereas no previews from previous game, which was certainly not considered one of the best games in genre of all time for a period that exceeds the Mass Effect by another 3 years, which unlike the Mass Effect is still talked about and which unlike the Mass Effect is still taken care of by its fanbase. Effectively, people are not welcoming this decision very well. This is a topic saying, please welcome the new lead narrative designer replacing Brian Mitsoda at HSL, Samantha Wall. Oh, the next writer after Sam gets off the ship, a random Steam user slow collapse. Oh, me. Okay, wait, I just emailed HSL. They can fit me in as a new narrative lead starting in June 2021. I've agreed to work for free coffee. Maybe if development lasts long enough, HSL and PDX will forget that they fired Mitsoda and rehire him as a lead again. Is this the girl that ruined Chris Avalone's career to get a promotion? Question mark. Then there is also a thread stating worryingly that there has not been any updates on the game since August, after they made those organizational changes where they fired people. And they fired Mitsoda. Why one would deny themselves the spectacle of this slow-mo train wreck? At the moment, Bloodlines 2 exists only as a series of puzzling press releases and ludicrous comments, and I think it could never become more fun than this. Based on other forum posts, looks like they hired another lead writer to replace Brian Mitsoda. She worked on Mass Effect Andromeda, so not a huge win for Hardsuit Paradox. Sad face. Effectively, the whole consensus is they must not be able to afford good writers. They must not be able to afford good developers, so they are hiring what they can afford, and this is what they can afford. Alternative consensus is she got Chris Avalone out of his work in order to try and get his job, which she now has. I don't even know if they worked under the same department, but yeah, in like June 2020, she contributed to getting him fired, and now she's hired. That doesn't seem off to anybody. Then of course there is that worry that obviously the writing is not finished for a game that was supposed to be released this year and just like got tentatively delayed into the next year. Like if you're still at a phase where you're working out the writing, this doesn't bode well, because writing is like one of the first things that you do and then you start building everything else. So if you need to do writing and you fired your main writers to then hire these other people, that's not a very good look. Effectively, the consensus is that the whole thing is in the hot shit. It's in hot shit. It's in development hell. It's a slow-mo train wreck. It's not gonna be good. It can't be good. Special thanks for today's video to An Evil Joke for helping me compile all of this. I mean, I knew some of it from just seeing it on the Steam forums, but I definitely didn't have links to the Paradox forums or the previous tweets made by Samantha, dearest. So yeah, if you want to take a look at all that, that's all in the description down below. Bloodlines 2 just doesn't look like it's gonna happen, honestly. If it is happening, then it's gonna be happening under the same circumstances as Bloodlines 1, where the company will sink in the process of making it, and at best release something really, really buggy. At worst, like, not release a game. So yeah, not a good look. Not a good look. Questioning their hiring decisions. And there's nothing. There's no announcement. There's no statement. They haven't even like made an official statement yet, which is like really weird because the last communication has been in August. Like they're not they're not communicating anymore, but they're firing and hiring new people, despite the fact that the game's supposed to, you know, getting close to being finished now. So if it's not, it's highly problematic, guys. It is. Like, everybody keeps on talking about Cyberpunk delays, but at least that game's, like, firmly happening. We don't think that their company is gonna run out of money and sink with Cyberpunk. We also don't think that they're, like, churning developers like they're made out of hot cheese that one must pass on really, really quickly, or else it will stick to your fingers and burn them. So yeah, not a good look. Thank you for watching. Sorry for this video being slightly incoherent. It's late at night, and I'm tired. And I hope I get to see you in my other videos. And if you like my content, please subscribe. Toodaloo!